People are being educated almost all day, every day. We learn new things without knowing and can gain knowledge from doing the simplest task. Being in the workplace, around family members and friends, and even using technology will have an impact on a person. We are all being educated in different ways and different settings. This helps us subconsciously educate our understanding and perspective of things. One of the most important places where we are all educated is in a school classroom. Here we follow a curriculum and learn things that will benefit us in various different ways. For this presentation, I will be using my own memory of a time where I recognized that different theories were being used to help us students learn and understand. During high school, I took part in a Duke of Edinburgh expedition. There was a lot of preparation that needed to be done before the expedition took place. Map reading was part of the training, where we were all split into two big groups and had to teach ourselves the skills by following instructions. I was finding it very difficult to carry out the task. Eventually, we all went off for our lunch break and came back and found that our teacher split the whole class into smaller groups. Each group was in a different classroom where we were focusing on several areas such as compass reading and grid referencing. After a while, we rotated around and visited each classroom and began to teach ourselves and within our smaller groups. By the end of the lesson, I visited all groups and was able to successfully read the maps with certainty. After I completed the test, we received our results and feedback a few days later. I was told that I worked really well and received a certificate for all the hard work and perseverance I put into passing the test. I will be looking at different theories which link to the teaching styles that were being used and explain how they worked. All teachers are unique with the way they teach. Different teaching styles are used to benefit students individually. An effective teaching style not only feeds the students the national curriculum, but it also contributes to their individual personalities. Over the years, different theories have helped devise the way teachers interact and help their students. With the use of these different theories, it ensures that students take away more than just certified knowledge and qualifications. Children observe the individuals that they are surrounded by in different ways. Bandura carried out experiments which show that children are influenced by the models such as family members, friends, teachers, and TV characters. Children pay attention to the models and encode their behavior. Then they will go on to imitate the behavior which they have observed. I can assume that my teacher used a theory similar to this in order to succeed in the class. I needed to observe and pay attention to my peers whilst they were coming up with a solution. I was only able to do this when I was put into a smaller group. I absorbed and remembered the way specific skills and methods were being used. I then went away and carried out the method myself. I was able to imitate the same skills to my own task accordingly. My motivation stemmed from the reward my teacher highlighted at the beginning of the task. She said that success would lead to receiving a prize, and this instigated my determination. There are both strengths and limitations of the social learning theory. One of the strengths is that it can give a clear explanation about how different students learn behavior. It also gives a reason as to why different actions are carried out by students. However, the theory does not take into account a child's physical and mental challenges. It also will not be effective if the child is not motivated by the rewards. Alongside social learning theory, behaviorists believe that reinforcements are an excellent way of encouraging good habits. This can be applied through using reinforcements in the classroom. A contribution produced by Skinner shows that the principles of operant conditioning can be used to encourage a student in a way which they will be moving closer to the desired behavior. Linking this to my anecdote, my teacher used a stream of rewards for the desired behavior. Firstly, she put us all into smaller working groups. She gave us verbal approval along the way. The idea of placing us into smaller groups helped me achieve the task because it broke it down into smaller steps. The main implication of this teaching strategy had on me was that I continued my hard work throughout all the classes. The hard work then became a habit which I used outside of school as well as during the rest of my classes. Not only did I get the knowledge and training, but I also developed a life skill that could be applied outside of school. This shows how teaching gives us more than just a curriculum has to offer. A big feature from my anecdote is when we play an active role in our learning. The teacher left us in small groups to get on with the task. Constructivism highlights the centre of knowledge shifting from teacher to student. The work is learning initiated with little mediation and guidance from the teacher. Linking this to my anecdote, the teacher gave us limited instructions which forced us to use our existing knowledge and initiative. Students in the group complemented each other through their different strengths and educational values. Group work is appreciated in the sense that many skills are being put into practice and preparing us for their world of work. Communication skills are enhanced, negotiation skills are challenged, critical thinking is used, and team working skills are amplified. It really emphasizes how teachers give us the opportunity to develop as an individual. Linking this back to my anecdote, my teacher allowed us to actively work and experiment with equipment that was given to us. We were able to make mistakes and learn through building new knowledge, which helped develop skills, and in turn I was able to complete the task. The teacher had put us into smaller groups according to our gender and ability. This helped to avoid being marginalised and suffering from sexism and ableism. Culturally responsive teaching encourages to integrate and celebrate various backgrounds. In the case of group work, constructivist learning is achieved through active learning. By doing this, students start to develop their thinking skills such as analysis and evaluation. It is an effective way to encourage students and to improve their learning and developing skills. Linking this back to my anecdote, in the group there was a mixture of students which being forced to communicate and use our different strengths to our advantage. For instance, my teacher could have held gender stereotypes, affecting her choice in the groups. Boys tend to be stereotyped as more active and outdoorsy, which are beneficial skills for everyone to have with this specific program. This would have influenced the less active, typically the girls, to contribute. This challenged me further because I was out of my comfort zone, working with people I was not used to. My teacher went beyond the idea of just group work and encouraged us to use our strengths and help each other in various ways. The Bronfenbrenner ecological module illustrates how the individual's environment affects them. For example, my neighbourhood is predominantly British Asian, meaning my company was the same as well. This in turn affected my interaction with certain peers. I can make the assumption that my teacher decided on the groups based on this and ensured that we were all interacted with all students of different abilities and backgrounds. Function of education can be questionable when we look at different teaching styles. The most obvious function is the teacher delivering the acquired knowledge for me to take away and use it across all areas. One key function we can take away from looking at my anecdote is the subjectification. This function helps learners to find ways of becoming independent as well as being able to break away from holding social, cultural, and political roles and traditions. Linking this to my anecdote, I was able to learn how to be mature and work as a team player. This in turn allowed me to be my own independent teacher. A less obvious function is socialization, which helps me develop my morals. I understand what it takes to succeed and work well as a team and be able to communicate effectively. Overall, I was able to see how effective theories were and exactly how vital they were when it came to learning. Teaching styles have a massive influence on students and are always taken seriously. This is so that students with different abilities and understanding processes are able to learn just as well as the next student who may have a more advanced learning ability. Now, to answer my question, there is no theory which is the most effective way to ensure learning is taking place. Each and every theory will benefit and help each student differently. Therefore, all theories are vital to be understood and used within the classroom, so all students are able to walk out of the school with qualifications and a chance of having a successful career.